All right. I'm Paul Rubin. I'm a professor emeritus from Michigan State University. Emeritus is Latin for without merit. I retired 6 years ago after 33 years on the faculty there. And as far as how long I've been an Informs member, I was a TIMS member, so it's long enough that I can't remember. Total accident. I was a PhD student in mathematics, and my advisor in math had previously been half-time in our management department, which is where management science lived. So as a math student, I had no clue that operations research and management science existed. But one day, the management department lost a faculty member and was desperate for teaching coverage. So they went to my advisor and asked him, would he like to come back for a year, half-time? And he said, oh, hell no. But you can have my doctoral student. So as a doctoral student, I was teaching graduate management science classes after not knowing management science even existed, including a doctoral class, which was a doctoral student teaching doctoral students. That was pretty weird as things go. And then, after that, I came back to the math department to finish my dissertation, and I'm thinking, I'm going to go off to industry and whatever. And the replacement faculty member they got only lasted a year, and then he was gone, so the job's open again, and this time I applied for it, and after all the higher level candidates were disqualified, I got it. So at that point, I had to learn what OR and management science were. The first, I have two things that students ought to learn. And the first one is learn to code, because I've known students who thought they're going to go into industry and the industry has professional coders and they'll take care of all that. But just because there are professional coders in the company does not mean you get to use them. And if you're doing academic research or if you're in the real world and you're floating trial balloons and testing models, you're going to be doing your own coding. And then the second thing, which is going to sound like the first thing but isn't, is learn to compute. And by that I mean understand that computer floating point arithmetic is not exact and rounding error happens. Understand that sometimes numerically unstable problems do very peculiar things within the software. And just because the software came out and printed an answer does not mean it is correct. So understand the limits, and also to some extent understand how to do things efficiently. So this is maybe circling back to coding in some sense. So my favorite part of, or most valuable part of the meeting, it's networking, and a lot of that happens during the coffee breaks. So that may be the most valuable part, although I do have to say the coffee itself is not the most valuable. It's your basic institutional coffee. Yeah, networking is a big part of it, and that's partly because of where I'm at in career and or age. As a beginner, I went to lots and lots of technical sessions to try and pick up new ideas. I still do that to some extent, but at this stage, I think the networking is more valuable to me. Well, first, as with pretty much all of our volunteers, there's this desire to give back in some way. And someone made an astute observation a while back. I wish I could remember who it was. For an Informs member to donate 1 hour of their time and expertise is probably more valuable than what they were likely to have donated in cash. So it's fine to donate cash, but we can donate something that's maybe more valuable because of its scarcity. Help the people that are helping people to help people better. I'm flirting with tripping over that sentence. Also, as an academic, the fact that I might do something that would actually get used in the real world is kind of interesting, because so much of academic research is not. I think it would be Inform's Journal on Computing. And I can't exactly say why, other than that a lot of the higher level mathematical stuff is interesting, but it's not directly useful to me, and I just don't find the time to read it. That would be in Math of OR or maybe in operations research. or the Journal on Optimization, which is new. And Inform's Journal on Computing just seems to have accessible articles that stimulate new ideas for me. The other possibility would be interfaces, just to see what's being used. I'm spending increasingly painful amounts of time in gyms, doing aerobics and weightlifting. I do taekwondo, so yeah, in case of stress, smacking something a few times is a good stress reliever, if it's not smacking back. All right. Funny as a matter of opinion. A mathematician and a chemist are both positioned at lab tables with the usual equipment. There's a sink, there's a ring stand, there's a Bunsen burner, there's an empty flask, and there's a beaker full of cold water. And they're told, fill the flask with boiling water. So the chemist puts the beaker of cold water on the ring stand, puts the Bunsen burner underneath, lights it, waits for the water to boil, pours it into the flask, and he's done. The mathematician does exactly the same thing. So they repeat the experiment, except this time the beaker starts with boiling water, and they're told, create a flask of boiling water. So the chemist picks up the beaker of boiling water, pours it into the flask, and he's done. The mathematician picks up the beaker of boiling water, pours it into the sink, fills it with cold water, and reduces it to the previous case.